Now don't you go worrying. You're not being replaced. You're actually the new kid on the block. Did you know that? Or maybe I should say the model table. Yeah, I'd like to use my old friend. But my old friend here has sort of developed, you might say, a bit of a prostate problem, and he has a tendency to leak all over the place. So we can't use him. However, we're going to use this one today. And we're going to put you in the dishwasher. Now, that was a little bit misleading. Yes, I do have a dishwasher, but no, I don't use it. I quit using it several years ago. And what's happened is the pump in it, the bearing is gone, so it's I risk all of a sudden getting a lot of water all over the place. So yeah, I don't use it. And the way I wash my dishes, if I bother to wash my dishes, is I will just put a large, I guess you'd call it a dishpan, in the sink, and I try to use as little hot water as possible. Now, the reason I do that is because I want to save money to be able to buy silly things that I really don't need, like this. Well, actually, this isn't silly, and I did need it, right? Now, we will get the macro lens on, but before I do, I just wanted to mention that when I was watching yesterday's video, and speaking of yesterday's video, some of you will have noticed that it posted just a little bit late. Well, once again, I left it too late. I think I was even talking about that yesterday, that I was kind of worried about how late it was getting in the day. Yeah, I got a real late start here at the model table. Today I got a nice early start, so we should be a little bit more relaxed. The video might not be any longer, but for me it'll be a lot more relaxed. But anyway, when I was looking at the video, I was noticing that I could have quit a lot sooner than I did. I didn't need to keep gooping on the flux and then trying to get more solder on. I've actually got it built up there, as you're going to see, a lot more than I need to. And the job is what I would call a cold weld. To me, from the experience that I've had in my shop welding, there's if you have a cold weld, it kind of looks kind of funny. Those of you who can weld know what I'm talking about. It's not a good weld, and this is not a good solder. Now, when I was using this stuff, I was, you might say, disappointed in that it seemed to require a lot of heat to melt. And one of the viewers mentioned that he uses this stuff, only he uses the 60-40, and so I've ordered some here. It'll probably be here, I'm guessing, well, day after tomorrow maybe. We'll see how it goes, and then we'll try it out. In the meantime, I'm not going to try to use this stuff. I'm going to see if some of my plumbing solder will work a lot better with this. I was noticing when I was trying to tin this a couple of days ago that the solder that I had on hand seemed to be a lot lower melting point than this stuff. I think that may have been part of my problem. I don't know. We didn't work at this very much yesterday. Now let's stick on our macro lens and have a look. Yeah, when I see this up close, I realize just what a terrible soldering job I did there. As I said, I should have quit way ahead. You can see along the bottom of the rail that we're looking at right now that it had gone like that probably a third of the way into the welding job or soldering job. But anyway, look at that. That's terrible. It looks like putty. Okay, you've seen it now. Now don't worry, we will put the macro lens on once we get soldering here. What if I wanted to mount this on the end there, not, and turn it here, okay, not like this, but the other way, so that it acted sort of like almost like a railing. Now I realize that your angle is probably really wrong for this, but what if I wanted to put it right on the end like that? How would I do it? And I was thinking, well, what I could probably do, and I've got to get myself a pair of those reversing tweezers that they clamp when you release. But I'm thinking what I could do here, just grab it out at the end, something like this. You know, and I don't want to be touching it with my fingers. I'm sort of paranoid about that. I've got to get it more out at the end here, huh? I don't want it to all of a sudden go pinging out of there either. Okay, I'm just going to get it here, and then we'll put the macro lens on, or at least we'll zoom in and I'll show you what I'm doing, and then we'll stick the macro lens on. Okay, this is what I've come up with here, and I haven't tried it yet, so the idea is I'm hoping that this will adjust to the right angle, and I'm hoping that the pressure is not so great that it's going to collapse everything. Okay, yeah, I think that's going to work. Let's get it out right near the end there. That doesn't look straight. Maybe I need a tweezer that's just a little bit wider. I'm going to change my tweezers here. Now I realize that this tweezer is going to be a huge heat sink, except that the tweezer is quite a ways away from where we want to actually put the solder. So I'm hoping that the heat won't, the heat won't be lost. Now, oops. I don't want to be getting those little prongs all bent out of shape either. Maybe I should be sanding the end of this. Okay, let's just try it like that. Okay, now we'll put the macro lens on. Okay, I took it off because I was afraid while I was messing around getting the macro lens on, I might just knock it off, and if it was to fall off of there, sort of like that, it could end up bending. You know, maybe I don't have the angle right here. Well, let's just try it further back where it seems to be fairly safe. Don't bump anything. I haven't pressed the A button yet. Okay, I've pressed the A button. It's going up to 300 degrees. And we'll see if this will melt the... Jason was suggesting that I get some sort of a steady rest going on here. Okay, let's just see if this is going to melt better. Get a little bit more here if we can. Now, I could be wrong, but I think that it's, well, maybe not. Maybe I gotta make it a little heavier here. Or am I ruining it again? Am I overdoing it again, maybe? Okay, let's just let that cool, and we'll see if it stays there all by itself. If we count these, number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 being the wide one, it almost appears like number 2 is not fastened properly. But that's probably because it's been bent crooked. Okay. Whoops. Here I'm trying to be so careful not to bump it. Now I'm going to squeeze the clamp, which should in turn release the tweezer. Okay, I have the super macro set to about 3.5 out of 5. Now you can see this one right here. That's the one that I thought wasn't being soldered down, and you can see it isn't. But the other 3 are. Okay, let's try and do something for real. Well, I sometimes wonder, did I end up buying myself another expensive toy that I'm not going to be able to use, or are we actually going to get this figured out? Now, this was the piece that I was hoping to be able to use it on. And the idea was, and once again we will zoom in, we were going to try and hook these little triangular shaped brackets on the back here, or solder them on. Let's set up and see if we can maybe at least do one. I have an idea of how I want to do them. Yeah, they're extremely tiny. Okay, once again we'll get it sort of orientated. I know that the drawing has this thing, like this, but of course we can't do it like that. And these things here. All right, now, as near as I can tell, and I know we did this about a week ago already. If I can just pick it up here. Now, oh, here we go again. I've got it the wrong way. This has to... it looks like on this one right here, there's a little bit of the tab that should be sanded off of there. I got to be careful here. I'm just going to have to take this off camera and get it adjusted right here. Okay. Now they go like this. And then with these 4 little brackets that are going to go on, as well as these pieces that are going down at an angle like this, that's what is supposed to hold this thing on. This is going to be extremely fragile. Now what I had hoped to do is somehow to be able to hold this in place, and then touch solder right in here in this crack. And if I could get it to I was going to say cure, if I could get it to harden, it would be extremely strong. I think, and I think what I could do is I could start at one side, get one, and then put something on here to act as a heat sink up close to it, so I don't need to worry about when I do the next one that the heat will travel across and melt this one out. At least that's the plan. I think it will work if I can solder that delicately. But the trick will be now to try and come back here. And the trick will be not to have them ping off into the floor, into the carpet, because it'll be gone. Mind you, right where I'm sitting, there's plywood, so I might be able to find it. Anyway, I'm going to see if I can't just, I'm thinking out loud again. I kind of know what I want to do here. Well, here's the plan. Now, the idea of this rubber band is not so much to hold these together as it is so that when I put one of these alligator clips on here, it's not going to want to slip off. And what I did was I cut this piece off of right here. It used to look like this. Now, like I say, this is the plan. What I want to be able to do is put this on here, and it should hold our tweezer together, and it will balance on this. It's a lot lighter than that metal clip that I was using. Okay, now the idea is, and once again I'm doing it for the first time here. We will put the macro lens on. Okay, it's going to have to go okay, probably I'm just going to have to angle this best for me. Get this out of the way. Okay, now this will go on here. It should hold that in place. And the idea is, let's say we want to, if we want to start at this end, we'll put it on here and let this go down into position. Now, is this going to be too heavy, or is that going to basically stay in the right place? Well, I think it'll work if I get the tweezer on it in the right place. And what do you mean you can't see that little part? It's huge. See, I only have to heat up the end of it. I don't need to worry about the fact that the tweezer is going to act as a heat sink. Now it keeps wanting to pivot in there. I'm going to have to maybe a different type of tweezer. I wonder if Tony's tweezer might work better. No, how about my rubber tip tweezer, my homemade one? Where did I put that? Okay. Would that maybe work better? It might not pivot as much. I'm going to turn the camera off and do this. I must be driving everybody crazy here. Okay. This should look familiar. And the idea is, and I haven't tried it yet, but the idea is that this, because it's a little bit soft, the little piece of photo etch isn't going to want to find a high spot inside the tweezer there and pivot on it. Now we just want to get this in here like this. Now I've got to hold it together. Hold it together. Now this should go on here like this. Okay. Now notice how my fingers don't go back together anymore. Now is that going to pivot? No. I think that's going to be all right. And I think it's strong enough that when let me get our little piece over here. Now I keep reminding you, yes, we will put the macro lens on. Now if we were to put this in here and then push down on it until it looks about right, well, I'll put the macro lens on and we'll do it. Now I have turned everything around here 180 degrees, and the reason being is I want to be able to come in this way. In other words, I am to the right here. I want to be able to come in this way with the iron and just touch it right on there until everything gets hot enough. Oh, you know, I wonder if the CA glue on the end is going to let go from the heat. Well, I guess we'll find out, won't we? Okay, let's see if I can very carefully here turn this over and get it in place. Now, if I push down on there until it's level, am I going to bend anything, or is it just going to twist? Maybe if I watch in the monitor, I'll actually be able to see when it's in the right position. Oh, it's twisting on me this way. Now, I do believe that is in the right place. Now, if I was to, where's my toothpick? I covered it up with paper here so I wouldn't be getting the okay. You know, that might be too much. Get a little bit off of there. It's hard to get any off. Maybe I'll just see if I can put just a tiny bit on. Let me check the monitor. Did I press record? Yeah, that would have been terrible. Okay. Now, we'll get our soldering iron going here. I'm just going to leave record on, and I'm going to edit out the dead spots. Okay, now I've adjusted our iron for 340 degrees. It's hard to get it to stick on the end there. I think I got it. Did it flow down, or is it only on the... I'm not going to try and put any more on. I just want to see if we can get it to flow better. Okay. Now, I do believe that's on there. And it's on there a lot stronger than it would have been with CA glue. Now, my thinking is, let me rearrange everything. Okay, I still have the macro lens on, but I've backed off just a little bit here. and I'm going to try and very gently hold on to the clamp, the alligator clamp. I'm going to use my knife as a wedge here. Will this pull apart? It kind of wants to. Maybe that's not the best way to go. There we go. Got it off. Now, how does that look? Did I put it on the right way? So we have a little blob of solder here. No question about that. But I think that once that's painted over, it's probably going to look okay. Now, if I can put a heat sink right against this right here, like just a pair of anything, another pair of tweezers or anything, and then we do this one, and then this one, and so on, I think that might work. However, at 3:30 this afternoon, I have to be completely done. Not by 5 o'clock as per usual. I have to be completely done here because something is going to happen at 3:30. Nothing important, but it's I just want to do it. So that means I pretty well got to wrap today's video up here. Am I keeping this where you can see it? Sort of. I think we did pretty good there. Yeah. Well, we did what I had intended to do with the new soldering iron. Yeah. Now I don't think we need to put the super macro on. Well, thanks for watching, folks, and all being well, we'll see you tomorrow.